Genesis chapter 16. Hagar and Ishmael. Abram's wife Sarai had not borne him any children, but she had an Egyptian slave woman named Hagar. And so she said to Abraham, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Why don't you sleep with my slave? Perhaps she can have a child for me." Abram agreed with what Sarah said, so she gave Hagar to him to be his concubine. This happened after Abram had lived in Canaan for 10 years. Abram had intercourse with Hagar and she became pregnant. When she found out that she was pregnant, she became proud and despised Sarai. Then Sarai said to Abraham, "It's your fault that Hagar despises me. I myself gave her to you. And ever since she found out that she was pregnant, she has despised me. May the Lord judge which of us is right, you or me." Abram answered, "Very well. She's your slave and under your control. Do whatever you want with her." Then Sarah treated Hagar so cruelly that she ran away. The angel of the Lord met Hagar at a spring in the desert on the road to Shur and said, "Hagar, slave of Sarah, where have you come from and where are you going?" She answered, "I am running away from my mistress." He said, "Go back to her and be her slave." Then he said, "I will give you so many descendants that no one will be able to count them. You are going to have a son, and you will name him Ishmael, because the Lord has heard your cry of distress. Because your son will be like a wild donkey. He will be against everyone, and everyone will be against him. He will be apart from all his relatives." Hagar asked herself, "Have I really seen God and lived to tell about it?" So she called to the Lord who had spoken to her, "A God who sees." That is why people call the well between Kadesh and Beeret the well of the living one who sees me. Hagar bore Abram a son, and he named him Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old at that time. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. We see what happened. Truly, God has made a covenant in verse 15 with Abraham, telling him that Eliezer, the Egyptian, is not going to be the one who would inherit Abraham's property. And Abraham is trying to hold on to faith, but still shivering because it's not easy, right? Already above probably 80, and you are there, no child, and God keeps promising you. Which can promise be that? A little like you're already, and Sarah already in menopause, and now she thought like she too was thinking like, just very empathetic, I would say, because she sees a young man who married her. You know, in those days, people didn't really marry for love. People marry for baby making because it was a call of God to procreate. Even if enjoyment gets involved, but the main reason is enjoying to have a child, to have babies, and kids are wealth. And they didn't have, and now she was thinking, not selfishly, but she was thinking like, okay, let me have a child. Maybe my husband gets my slave girl as a concubine, and then she can have babies for me. So by that statement, you even see Sarah ready to adopt those children. And I don't think she was going to adopt the children and send away the slave girl. The one thing that went wrong is that she began to despise her. And I pray that God will give us the grace not to act rashly. Of course, the lady was sent back to Sarai because God intervened. Sarah had said God is going to judge, and Abram had said, "You woman, she's your slave, do what you think is correct." And she did what in her judgment was correct, but the Lord God intervened, and see how the child came to be named. She was in distress too. God was hearing her cry, and God acted the way he acted as God.